Hello, fellow Scrum Master. Are you looking for a new PM tool? Get away from overly complex or fragmented apps with ClickUp. For decades, Agile teams relied on Jira. Other PM tools couldn't match the new methodologies. Today, teams don't have the time to navigate the configuration or complexity of Jira. In Jira, admins must choose if projects are team or company managed. ClickUp is designed for open collaboration and offers several ways to display Agile initiatives. Jira offers views, but with limitations. Views like Timeline, Gantt, and more are free in ClickUp.
The value proposition is that ClickUp and Jira have very similar capabilities and features, but stepping into ClickUp is a lot easier to manage. It has a lot less admin settings. It has a lot of more native features and integrations through ClickUp versus Jira, which takes a little more building, is definitely a lot more to get used to. Jira launched in 2002, and of course, just like ClickUp, was made by software developers. But I feel that ClickUp is so much more modern and easier. It's just, easier to use, easier to set up, and that Jira still just is complicated and has not, the whole point of Agile is to iterate and change, and it's really kind of been stuck in what it used to be. So definitely the advantage that ClickUp has over Jira is the features that are built into it that Agile teams are familiar with, especially Scrum teams. So, you have your meetings, you have this set number of meetings you're supposed to have per sprint. We've got planning, we've got our daily stand-up, we have our review where everybody sees the work that was done in the retrospective. So we have meetings. So we have to have a calendar. We have to have an item that is reminding everybody there's a daily stand-up at 2 today. And also meeting notes. So documentation, just all those different pieces that the Scrum team needs to pull together: meetings, meeting notes, documentation, and of course the work, the tasks that need to be done. So all of that is just easier to build in ClickUp. All the features are there, all the visibility is there, and you don't, to achieve all of that, all of those pieces of Scrum, you don't need to add anything else to ClickUp. It's already built in. You can do all of that in Jira, but for documentation, you need to either upload attachments or you need to use Jira Confluence, which is a whole nother set of licenses you need to build. And just, the things like the meeting notes and the calendar events and how that integrates with your personal calendar and your email and all of that. It's just already built into ClickUp. So a Scrum team knows what they need to do. And it's just really easy to lay that all out in ClickUp than it is in Jira, to have all the pieces there in one place. We can bounce into ClickUp. So ClickUp's, essential building blocks, the hierarchy with the space, folders, and if I expand folders, there are lists. This natural setup, so this hierarchy structure that ClickUp has around, is extremely flexible. So if we have a Scrum team from a small startup, then they could open up a space and have all of these characteristics per product. If we are running an Agile train, so if we're implementing scaled Agile SAFe and we have 5, 10, 30 different Scrum teams, then we'll have an entirely different build on the sidebar, but it's extremely flexible and it's really easy to navigate. Unlike Jira, where we have backlog, product, it's less flexible in Jira. It's less customizable, and it's a little harder to just navigate and to see everything the way ClickUp's sidebar expands, opens and closes. So for views, like I mentioned, we have at the space So I always liken this to like a glass bottom boat. If you look down, you see everything in that space. So I see every folder, every list, every task, and I can just scroll through those. If I come to the folder, so this folder is just, our Agile ceremonies, then I'll only see the items that are in this folder. So it's easy to navigate between the different layers of the hierarchy to see as much as you want. If you are product owner or the Scrum Master, you need to see everything, or maybe you're just a developer and we can really focus what is shown on the view. So you have no distractions and you're completely focused, which is extremely important in software development and Scrum to be focused. So if I come to the space, the folder, or the list, let's just add a new list. We were down at this new list and I just wanted to show, a fresh list without any views added to it. So the default in ClickUp is always a list. So I always have that. And it's a really great place to be able to see if I have a task as an epic. And then if I want to add a subtask, a story. And then inside the story, I can actually add the parts and pieces, the more digestible building blocks to achieve the story, the epic, to deliver that project and ship that item. So I love working in the list view, but if I click add, then I have the availability to just quickly add a Gantt, a timeline, a board. Scrum, we're going to use boards all the time. So they're all right here. And it's super easy to just navigate between them all. And the best thing is, unlike the different roles and permissions in Jira, I don't need an admin to let me add a board. Maybe ClickUp's permissions are set that any view I add is private. If I'm a member in ClickUp instead of an admin, doesn't matter, but I can just add a board. I don't have to ask anybody. I don't have to request it. I don't need to involve anybody else or take time away from anybody else's workload to just add a view. So I can easily just add views. So boards are super important, and all these other views. So Jira does have some of these views. Some of them you need to go out to the marketplace. You need to download the app, the plugin to be able to use the views, but they're all right here in ClickUp. A super important view for Scrum teams and for software developers would be the forms view. So we can solicit bug issues from users. We can accept feature requests, and all that's built right in. It's going to go right to your backlog, right to the list where you created this. So that's super important. So the most advantageous innate feature in ClickUp over Jira is the integrated docs that we have in ClickUp. So documentation, either writing documentation for your users, what is the Scrum team developing? How are people going to use the item that was developed? Documentation is almost always required when you're shipping a product, or the documentation that lets the developers know what they should work on is very important. We've all seen that video where somebody shows or requests a developer to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, but didn't write the instructions in the right way. So we need to be extremely clear as to what we need developed, and we need to spell out each step exactly how the product needs to work, and it's up to the developer to interpret that and code it. So having the documentation in ClickUp and not needing to navigate to another external source or remember to upload the correct version of the documentation is super important. So the fact that we have that built into ClickUp, we can see when the item was last updated. So we can see that this is fresh documentation, and we have a lot of extra capabilities too in ClickUp. We can even collaborate on the documentation. We can mention somebody who needs some awareness. We can add extra information. We can record voice clips. We can even select an item that needs to be addressed, and we can create a task right from here, and we can move that task over into the backlog, the bug list, or wherever it belongs. So not only is there the doc view, that helps bring transparency to what needs to be developed, but it's highly functional in that we can collaborate on it, communicate over it right in the doc, and even assign tasks and create new tickets. For Jira, we do have the ability to, if we are in, say, a backlog in a task, we do have the ability to communicate in Jira, but any changes to documentation, comments on documentation, we are limited to being in that issue, which is what Jira calls a task. And in ClickUp 3.0, we're going to have the ability to rename a task to be a bug, a feature request, a product request, an issue. So we'll have a lot of different capabilities with being able to rename the elemental item of a task in ClickUp. So in Jira, I would attach the documentation and I would have a conversation here very similarly in the comment section, but I wouldn't be able to go into the documentation, mark it up, assign, and easily create new items. So just a lot more clicking around, a lot more of a toggle tax in Jira. And of course, I always have the risk of not having the latest version. Version control is super important. So if we're using an in-app ClickUp doc, we know the version is the latest version. And this is discounting the fact that we can integrate Confluence and Jira, but I'm sure that every company out there is looking to decrease their costs. So knowing that they need to not only pay for Jira, but also requisition licenses for Confluence is a huge blocker. Jira does have the ability, just like ClickUp, to integrate with other whiteboard softwares like Miro, Mural. There's a lot of them out there. So ClickUp and Jira can both integrate with a chosen tool, an external resource, but definitely just like ClickUp Docs, the ability to create a whiteboard in ClickUp is just light years beyond. So it's so wonderful that we don't have to leave the tool to create those. Scrum teams would use whiteboards for certain meetings, like retrospectives. It's very important to minimize my screen. In a retrospective, we look at what went well, what can we improve, how am I feeling today? All those different soft thoughts and feelings about our work that are really important to make sure that the team is high functioning. And that's part of that adaptation cycle, so that we are adapting to what happened before. So we need to, adapt, iterate, and change for that next sprint. So we have the retrospective, and then we several different versions. Like I mentioned, ClickUp has lots of different templates that you can use, so you don't have to create these from scratch. And we can collaborate on the different items. You can have a daily stand-up whiteboard, retrospective review, and for teams that need to develop wireframes to visually demonstrate the software, the coding, how the product needs to be built, we can also do that right here in ClickUp. Just like docs, the whiteboards are part of ClickUp's free plan. So if you are using a free plan for a small team, if you're just trying out ClickUp, it's a feature that's available to you. Unlike some of the features in Jira, you already need to have one of the higher level plans to be able to integrate other platforms. And most of those other platforms, such as Miro, Mural, you're also going to need to have a paid license for that separate platform before you can even integrate it into Jira. So once again, you're paying for two different systems versus just paying for one. I think the combination of ClickUp's task view, which is extremely clear, it's a very nice, clean UI. All the information is at your fingertips in the view in conjunction with ClickUp's list view. This list view isn't replicated in Jira. And so just like unlike the task view, the list view, I can have as many data attributes here as I need. I can allow teams to add a Moscow indicator. I can use a RICE prioritization. I can use t-shirt sizing, sprint points, time estimations. I'm not limited to choosing one way to prioritize tasks. I'm not limited to choosing one way of estimating tasks. So if you see on my screen in ClickUp, I have everything here. I've got sprint points, t-shirt sizing, and time estimates. No team would likely use all three of those estimation methods, but it's available and I could use all three. And then from a transparency aspect, marketing can understand how long developers will take if there's a time estimate. Scrum Masters will understand how long something will take for planning if we're using sprint points. So it's just, we can speak to the languages of the other teams, which is another advantage of working in ClickUp. It's so customizable. Marketing's not going to be confused. They have their own space, they have their own tasks, they have their own completely different setup. And there isn't really a learning curve for them to jump into ClickUp because we're not trying to teach them a software like Jira that's very innate to software developers, but not always very second nature for other teams that need to work in the same project management tool. So I have all this available in the list view, which isn't as customizable in Jira. And if I click into a task, I have all that same information available in ClickUp also. ClickUp has spent a lot of time, and this is 3.0, the new rollout of the new task view. So information is very condensed. It's easy to find all of my task attributes in one area. It's easy to see all of the development work, the status, who it's assigned to, the due dates. It's easy to see all of those other items that help me understand what needs to be developed and all those data attributes that we're tracking through custom fields. I have those attachments. And once again, it's so important in Scrum teams and for developers to focus. So if I want to come out to the parent task level and see these attributes, or now with 3.0, I can click into the subtasks and I can just see the subtasks that are assigned to me. And I can block everything out of my view so I can concentrate on the work that I need to do. We have the ability to add subtasks, and we also have the ability to add checklists. The other attribute that ClickUp has that is far superior to Jira is the relationship and dependencies feature. So it's extremely easy to create a relationship or a dependency between tasks and between subtasks. In Jira, I need to actually address the dependency before the next item that's blocked can be worked on. In ClickUp, we know we use dependencies for all different items. I might just want a dependency to show that two items, one should be started before the other, but they could be worked on simultaneously. So ClickUp's dependencies and relationships are a lot more flexible than Jira's. Work isn't blocked just because there's a dependency. Maybe we just need to know that there's minimal slack time between two items, or two items are related, and that once work begins on one item, we can easily bring awareness to that work for the next item that needs to be addressed. It's a lot easier in ClickUp to bring all the different attributes from the task to the progress into a list or into a filtered view to show just what I want. Typically in Jira, users just end up exporting to a spreadsheet, which once again, you're exporting, you're using an external tool, and then one is able to really slice and dice that information to provide the transparency to other stakeholders to show the progress that's been worked on. But in ClickUp, if we have information in these custom fields that help us show what am I working on, what kind of product feature is it, what is the initiative, so why am I working on this, what is the KPI, or what is the value to the user that I'm trying to deliver with this item that I'm working on, I'm able to use some fairly advanced grouping. So I can group the tasks and only show certain items. I can actually group by all of those different custom fields that I've added into my list view. And I have filters. So I can ask ClickUp to only show me certain items that we need to look at directly. So only show me the must-have items, only show me the epics, or only show me the bugs. So if I'm working in a list, which we have a lot of items, we might have 10, 15, we might have 300 items in this backlog, but with ClickUp's filters and grouping, then I can really highlight just what we need to show. So that if I need to present a status report, which is not part of Scrum, so we actually shouldn't be doing a status report. How about this? If I need to pull a report for what the team is going to demo at a review to show the work that they just completed in the previous sprint, then it's easy for me to share my screen in ClickUp, to filter and sort, and to pull that data into a nice report that I can show. So for inspection, we have a report that we can show at the list view, but of course we also have the dashboards. And just like the whiteboards, there are already sprint dashboard templates created by ClickUp to help get you started, so you don't have to reinvent the wheel and start from scratch. So we can just pull a Scrum dashboard from ClickUp's templates and then get started. In the Scrum methodology, inspection is encouraged to be increased by daily inspection of the work that's progressing in the daily Scrum. Inspection happens in sprint reviews, retrospectives, backlog refinement, checking to see if the definition of done has been met, and definitely through transparency in information radiators, which is showing the progress and making sure that performance of the team and the progress of all the work that's being completed is visible to everyone. So ClickUp just naturally, without setting lots of permissions per team, increases this transparency, increases this performance inspection that can be evaluated by everyone by the open collaboration that is inherent in ClickUp's hierarchy. So as the team uses the components available in ClickUp, such as meeting notes, so I can use a document for meeting notes to inspect what the team has completed yesterday, what the team is going to work on tomorrow, and what the rest of the goals are for the sprint, and to make sure the team is always working towards those sprint goals. So the components of ClickUp can come together. We can use a whiteboard to have the team members include what they worked on yesterday, what they're working on today, and any blockers if the team is hitting any blockers towards achieving their work. We also can embed a doc, a ClickUp doc, right into the whiteboard. So the Scrum Master, the Scrum team, whoever is running the meeting for the day, it's ideal if that responsibility can be shared between the Scrum team members. We have our inputs right in the whiteboard, and we also have our daily stand-up meeting notes in a doc that's right in the whiteboard. So we can just stay in one place. We can inspect everything at one time, and we don't need to move between the hierarchy different lists, documents, or whiteboards to achieve all of this. And we certainly don't have to pop between different software that I would have to if I were working in Jira. I would likely have a notepad open, or I would have Microsoft Word open, Google Docs, some other system, and I would be in and out of a couple different platforms and paying a toggle tax rather than having all of the items here. To further inspection, if we are looking at the actual tasks, so I'm just going to navigate into a sprint. So as I dive into the actual work that is assigned to the Scrum team, we can further inspection by all of the different task fields and custom fields available in ClickUp. So if needed, I can bring greater visibility to the status of each item. I can group by status, so I can show what the team is working on. These items are in development. These items are in design. Perhaps we have tasks that have not started. I can also bring greater visibility, and I can also show the status in the list. So this just very visible, very top of mind, what is happening. So anyone who wants to come in and inspect the progress of the team's work can easily see the status of each item. If I want to dive deeper and check out the definition of done, so we like to define, what is MVP? How are we going to meet MVP? All of those items can be right here in the task. No need to toggle to another system. No need to go to my email to check out, find a spreadsheet. All of the metrics that we are measuring our work against to see how is the team performing, what value is the team bringing forth. We can capture all of that in the custom fields right in ClickUp. Whether you're a software developer working on an Agile team or any other team such as marketing, HR, admin, corporate, who are running sprints and organizing your work in an Agile way, you're likely going to need documentation and requirements. So we can easily link to those documents in the comments. So if a team member is lost, somebody noted in our daily Scrum that there's a blocker, they don't have the requirements, they are unsure of what the definition of done is. If you see here, I failed to complete that whenever we were creating the story and assigning this task. So we can always use ClickUp to attach a document, to link to a ClickUp doc that would already be in the system. So if I type @mention 3 times, I can find the Stellar app requirements, and I can point the team member directly to that item. It's all here in the task. The team member can stay focused, which is a very important part of sprint in Scrum, so that we're not being distracted and we are spending as much time focusing on the work that we can. So ClickUp's large amount of detail that the task view provides, but yet it's easy for everyone to see in these neat custom field columns in the UI. It's easy to see all of the information at a glance, what's needed, what's missing, what needs to be refined, versus checking Slack, checking your email, going into another source, or even looking through our own comments in ClickUp. We can search. So if information was shared and we are inspecting the work that needs to be done to see if this is meeting our goals, we can either check out that information in the custom fields, or we can use the search bar if that information was shared in a comment. Lots of other project management systems offer dependencies, but ClickUp has a very superior implementation of the dependency feature. In ClickUp, I can easily see that there's a dependency. It shows right on the list view. If I click into my task, I'm also able to see that moved on me. I'm also able to see in the task that there is a dependency to another item. But the ClickUp dependencies are very flexible. I'm not limited in that I can still work on this item if it's blocked by another item or waiting on. So the dependencies don't need to put the team in a box. And if I have time to work on an item, that's okay. I can move forward. Maybe work on another project was completed. There's some time in the schedule and the team members looking for something to do. As long as they have all the information that we can put into the custom fields, all the requirements, definition of done, requirements for the MVP are available. There is no true reason that this dependency is keeping me from moving forward. So it's just there for awareness, and I can always, once again, use those comments, keep the conversation going, keep communication strong, and ClickUp and let the team know I'm ready to work on this. This is ready to go. I can move forward. The third Scrum pillar, adaption, shares similar aspects with the second Scrum pillar, inspection, in that in adaption, the team looks at and processes feedback from the previous sprint. So in ClickUp, it's extremely easy to rely on those notes that we've already captured in a ClickUp doc. We have our daily stand-up notes, and similar to the daily stand-up whiteboard and notes that we can pull together to see all in one place, the Scrum teams could also do the same items in retrospectives. In a sprint retrospective, we're going to visit what went well, what could go better, and then document action items and goals that we apply to the next sprint. So just as ClickUp is duplicating and moving items that are unfinished from our previous sprint and creating new sprint folders, we can keep a record and we can create multiple dashboards to make sure that the team is reviewing. And so as we move forward, we are adapting to what did not work or what worked well in our previous sprints. ClickUp is it makes it easy to add an item on the whiteboard. I can select the item and I can create a task. So if it's a goal of the teams, I could have a list that creates goals and that we revisit that list, can create a due date. I could mark the due date of the list to be the next sprint retrospective so that we are revisiting those goals and we make sure that we're making progress. So even though this is just a whiteboard for the team to come in and place their inputs for the retrospective, it's highly actionable, and we can set reminders, we can create tasks, and we can use all the features built into ClickUp to make sure that we're fully adapting our processes for the next sprint as to the lessons that we learned in the previous sprint. Even before the team reaches the retrospective point at the end of the sprint, we always have the ability, as we are working on items in our sprint, just navigate into a task. And we can use the common functions to have those conversations. If I'm working on this task, perhaps I have sent the build out to a branch for testing and testing failed, then it's easy to just let the team know, mention the watchers, let the team know that we had test regression, we had an issue that we need to address. So in ClickUp, it's very easy to keep that communication open, and it can just be, a fun team experience to come together, to swarm an issue, and to work on problems. And we don't need to go out into Slack or Google Chat or email to send those notices that there's something that we need to adapt to further the team's deliverables. ClickUp's data visibility is most apparent in the dashboards. And honestly, I'm not going to dive into the details of each card on the dashboard because ClickUp is always shipping changes, and every day the dashboard reporting just gets better and better. So all of the tasks, subtasks, custom fields, all of the items that we are pulling information and updating as we're working through the sprints can be reported on a dashboard. So just as an example, we can calculate numbers of tasks, stories, issues, all of those items that are either tasks or custom fields, drop downs, all of that. We can report statuses, we can show velocity, we can manage the team's workload. And I think we also have some really good videos on the workload view already created. We can look at cycle time so we can make those adaptions for the next sprint. And the cards that I didn't add because every day they're changing are sprint velocity, sprint burn up, and sprint burn down, so that the team has real-time data at any minute that you visit the dashboard to see what is the progress towards the end of the sprint, how is the work going, and what we need to do to adapt so that we are delivering MVP by the end of the sprint. So through that adaption, I can click on items in a pie chart. I can see the tasks that are perhaps pending release, under review, anything that needs action. It's easy now to drill into the dashboard card, and then navigate over to the task and click on the task. And I'm able to adapt and update the task right in the dashboard. All of the different ways that I can communicate in ClickUp through comments, through chat views, and through chat functions on dashboards, along with the ease of collaboration between teams, between team members seeing their work throughout different spaces, and the data visibility are just inherent tools in ClickUp that help the Scrum teams increase their adaptation.